A lesson in how to start geocaching with children. Where to begin? If you want to go geocaching with your children or your family, the best place to learn about geocaching is at the geocaching website. If you can tell by looking at the main page, if you go under the section that says Learn, it tells you how to geocache, gives you a little bit of history of geocaching and where to start. You can also become a member to the geocaching website for free and get a little bit more information, and from there you can go to your profile and it tells you information about hiding geocaches or searching for your own geocaches. If you notice, this is the geocaching start page for a particular member that has found 29 geocaches so far. Once you have learned about the geocaching website and what geocaching is all about, you want to make sure that you buy either a GPS or get the geocaching application for a smartphone. The smartphones are generally easier for children to use. It has a lot of applications to it. The students are able to use the compass a lot easier with the phone, and they're also able to obtain information about the actual cache site easier than the GPS. But you can use either one when you are doing geocaching. When you are ready to go out and do some geocaching, you have your application for your phone or you've registered with the geocaching website and you're on your computer, the best thing to do is to search for geocaches close to your house or at a local park. If you look at this local town, there is a park just south of the town, right here, where this particular geocacher has found 4 of the 6 geocaches. It's an easy way to find geocaches easily at local parks that are near your house. If you are going to be going to parks near your home, you also want to make sure that you look up a map of the park as well, so you have a general idea of where the caches are going to be. So this would be what the geocaching website would look like, and then you can coordinate it with the trails of the park as well, so you have a general idea of where you're going with the children for the day. Items you want to make sure that you bring as you go geocaching with the kids. You want to make sure that you bring some small items to replace any items that you may take from the caches. General items that you find in caches are little kids' toys like trucks, trinkets, lots of times McDonald's toys. Sometimes there's coins, stickers, keychains, lots of times small little items like staplers, pens or pencils. You want to make sure you bring a pen with as well as you head to the caches, because lots of times the caches will not have a particular pen to write with, so you want to make sure you have one. And if you are going to be going out for a day, make sure you have a backpack that holds all your items, and make sure you have food and water for the kids, because you'll be hiking around a lot. Sometimes it takes quite a while to find the caches, so you want to make sure that you have something to sustain the kids if they get tired. General rules to go by when you are caching: make sure you stay on the trails as long as possible before you start cutting into the woods looking for the caches. Usually most of the caches are within a couple feet to up to maybe 100 feet from a trail, so that's why it's extremely important to stay on them as long as possible. You also want to make sure that you follow the leave no trace motto. Don't leave anything in the park. Make sure you pick up everything. And you want to make sure you place the cache back in the exact same spot after you have found it. Make sure you hide it as well as needed so that it is easy for the next person to find. So what is the cache going to look like when you actually come to the cache? They come in many forms. They can be really small as film canisters. The average size tends to be the size of maybe a peanut butter jar or a small Rubbermaid canister. You may find them on the ground. Sometimes you'll find them in stumps, in tree stumps. There's even geocaches underwater if you want to go scuba diving or snorkeling. So it's time to head out to the trails. Let's search for some caches. Make sure that the kids use the phone or the GPS. It helps them to learn new skills like orienteering, using a compass, any other software that is also involved with the program. We're going to watch a little video on walking through the path with the phone. As you'll notice, this particular person is staying on the path as they're looking at the phone, making sure that they are heading closer to the cache, and as they get as close as they possibly can, that's when they would head off the trail to look for the cache. Finding a cache is a great feeling of accomplishment for little kids. They feel like they've just found a treasure at the end of a treasure hunt. They're very excited when they find one. They're excited to see what's inside. They're excited to see who else has logged for the cache. They are excited to see how long it's been since the last person saw it. So this is a very exciting moment when they actually find a cache. Notice some of them are extremely small, like this particular cache. Notice they glued it on the back of a seashell, and you unscrew it in order to get a little piece of paper out so that you can log that you were there. Lots of times ammo boxes tend to be really good cache boxes because they're very durable and they're big, so they hold a lot of fun items, and oftentimes you'll see Rubbermaid containers as well. There are a few videos that I'm going to show you with regards to finding a cache, what the adventure is like for kids as they're looking for one. This particular site is near a bridge in the woods. Notice the boy's holding on to the phone and he's looking around. Lots of times there will be hints with regards to the caches, which is good for the children to help them to figure out exactly where to look. So this particular hint talks about the bridge, so that's why they're looking around it. They're checking to see how far away from the cache they are. It's kind of like a are you hot or are you cold type of game. You'll see on the phone whether they're moving away from the cache or towards the cache, so they can turn in a different direction in order to figure out where to head. Once they find the cache, again, it can be a lot of fun for them because they get to open it up, see what kind of toys are in there. So notice he has now found the cache right under the bridge and he's going to take it out. Lots of times the caches will have camouflage on them, so it's not as easy to be able to see them if they're hidden in certain spots. And as you will notice, the caches can be hid in many different places. This particular cache is located on the side of a hill in some rocks next to a pond. Looks like it's basically right in the grass. So she's going to take it out. She's going to take the rock out of the way and show you how small some of these caches can be. Notice some of these small caches won't have toys or trinkets in them, but they will have a piece of paper so that you can log what you've found and you can put it back in there. You can also log that you were there on the website so that the person that owns the cache can tell that you found it. This is another unusual spot. Just to give an example of where some of the caches are hidden and how difficult it can be to find them. This time the little girl found the cache. Notice they're going to pick it out of the tree. So basically a little tiny box hanging from a tree branch. So you can have a lot of fun finding caches, but you can also have a lot of fun making your own cache and hiding one yourself. This is especially fun for the children because they get to create their own cache. They get to put anything that they want in it and they can find it wherever they want. And then what they can do is they can look to see who's found the cache. They can go check on it, make sure it still has toys in it, make sure that the container is still good. So basically what you need is you do need a durable, weatherproof container. The cheapest thing is obviously to just take your peanut butter jar and to clean it out, but you can use Rubbermaid containers or any other type of container that you want. Inside the geocache there does need to be a log notebook and a pen. They tend to be in plastic bags and sealed so that they have a second layer of resistance to the weather. And then you place trinkets in it, any kind of trinkets. You know, sometimes you find relatively expensive trinkets and other times you find relatively cheap trinkets. It's totally up to the kids what they put in. You also want to make sure that you find a place to hide the cache, but you want to make sure that you ask permission, especially if it's on private land or if it's in parks. Lots of parks won't allow you to hide caches, and even if they do allow you, you still need to obtain permission from them before you're allowed to hide it. Once you've obtained permission to hide your cache and you've made it, you can head out and look for a unique and fun spot. Make sure you allow the kids to find it. Here's a couple videos of finding a geocache site. Again, you want to start on a trail and from that trail go directly off and look for a special spot to look for your cache. Again, lots of times they're hidden in trees, under trees, maybe in rocks on the side of the hill, in branches. There's many unique different places that you can hide a cache. So they're going to continue looking. This particular spot is in the view of a lake, which was chosen by the kids because they wanted the people to be able to see the lake when they found the cache. If you look at the last video, they have found a really cool spot in a tree that has blown down. The way the roots are, there's a perfect spot right underneath the roots where they think it would be a really good spot to hide the cache. So that was the spot they chose. If you notice, hidden within the base of the tree. They put some leaves over it. You still see a little bit of it for other geocachers to potentially be able to find the spot. A good hint for this type of thing would maybe be written as roots at the base of a fallen tree, so that other fellow geocachers, especially children, would be able to narrow in on exactly where the geocache is hidden. In national parks, geocaching is not allowed because they have policies against being able to leave containers behind. So there is a new type of caching called earth caching that is now done in national parks and in other parks. It is instead of finding a container, you search for landmarks and learn about the Earth's geology. These are found on the geocaching site just like other caches. They just have a different icon to them, and they state that they are an earth cache instead of a geocache. If you notice, these pictures are taken in Shenandoah National Park, and it is a trail that leads to several earth caches. And if you look at the image to the right, at this exact spot, you're supposed to stop and look at the mountain in front of you. It is called Little Stony Man Mountain, and notice the boy is pointing out the face of the man to the little girl. And basically what the owner of this earth cache did was they basically explained at this specific spot what this mountain is, how it was made, and why it shows the face it does, and the erosion that's taken place. So these children learned basically about geology and how the mountains were formed by stopping at this spot and looking at the Little Stony Man Mountain. So that is a little introduction to geocaching with your children. The most important thing when you go out geocaching is to have fun. It is a great outdoor activity for the family, and it's great exercise for everybody. So have fun geocaching.